Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Saturday, December 14th at Gulfstream Park. Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development. 3 graded stakes on this nice Saturday card, and they make up 3/4 of the late pick 4, which we'll take a look at here. Let's start in the 8th race and talk about the stakes, Jim. The Rampart is a grade 3 at a mile for fillies and mares 3 and up. And these first couple of legs, I'm going to end up going deep when we get to our pick 4 ticket. How do you see the Rampart?
Yeah, I thought this was the better racing, the best racing puzzle of the day and the best wagering opportunity. I'm going to go 4 deep in the pick 4 here. A very, very shaky win pick. It's Baccarat Fashion, the 9-horse for Peter Walder. The 97 buyer jumps off the jumps off the page at you last time out. I'm worried about a bounce, but that was on October 24th, so they give him 7 weeks to come back from that. And she ran a huge race that day, won by 8.5 in an optional 40,000 claimer, moving up in class to a grade 3. But off that performance and the fact that she's won 2 in a row, and Walter's got her better after being trained by Bruno Tessori, I think 22% trainer. Baccarat Fashion is my pick here, but I'm also going to use Tweeting, the 8-horse. I'm going to use Carrie Ann for John Ortiz and Sophie Doyle, the 10, coming out of grade 3 Chaluki at Churchill, where she ran well and got beat by Sally's Curlin and My Lady Curlin. My Lady Curlin came back and won again last weekend, so I think she's got a real shot. And Molto Bella, the 6-horse for Ian Wilkes, ran well at Churchill in the comeback race. Hadn't been out since the Rachel Alexandra, the grade 2, back in February, and something obviously went wrong with her. But first time off a 9-month layoff, she wins for fun in a $100,000 optional, and Ian ships her here to Gulfstream for this race. So I think she's got a big shot too. Molto Bella, Baccarat Fashion is my pick. Molto Bella might be a more logical pick. So that's the 4 I'm sticking with.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same space you are in. I ended up on the 9. Baccarat Fashion off that big buyer last time. Horse won by 8.5, and the runner-up was 3 ahead of the third-place horse. So when they're spread out like that, that is usually indicative of a legit buyer figure, and she's working bullets. I think Molto Bella is the one to beat. That's the one I almost picked until I scrolled on down and got to the 9. So I think those 2, I'm going to go deeper, but I could live with standing with those 2. I'm going to use Bella Chao, second off the layoff, Pink Sands for Shug, and then the 10 also coming out of that good race last time. So going to go 5 deep when we get to the pick 4, but Baccarat Fashion is the win pick for me also. The 9th race is the grade 2 Fort Lauderdale, and there were several ways I could go in here. I ended up going to admission office. I remember Marty McGee writing a story for the Racing Forum on this horse and how high Brian Lynch was on the horse coming into the stake at Churchill last time off a disappointing effort in the Grade 1 Shadwell Mile. And this horse has kept good company, has been first or second 6 of 9 lifetime starts, and hasn't raced but just the 9 times. So this is the 3rd start off the layoff. The last race was an improvement. And I think maybe this horse is just starting to realize his potential. The Lynch barn has been hot. This horse is working well. So I'm going to take admission office thinking I might get a little bit of a price, but I think there are several that could win this. Flavius, I think, is real dangerous for Chad Brown, one of 2 that he has in here. The horse made his first start in the U.S., took a lot of money, had a little bit of a troubled trip at the start. So it's a step up in class, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if he handles it. Instilled Regard from the Chad Brown barn has some back class in this spot. Channel Cat has certainly kept very good company. Up the Ante for Clement I could see having a shot at this. And then even Marzo, a really nice race, 2 back in the Sycamore at Keeneland, and then if you forgive the race in New York, maybe this horse is improving. I just think he might be better at the marathon distances rather than this 1 1/8. And it's a little bit of a step up in class, too, against some of the ones he'll face in here. But I think I'm going to put him on the ticket just in case he runs back to that Sycamore effort. But admission office is the win pick here, but I'm definitely going deep on the pick 4 ticket. How about you?
Well, the first time I went through the race, I circled 6 horses. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to go 6 deep out of 9, I'm going to go ahead and go all. And then I structured the rest of my ticket, and I couldn't afford it. So I went back and handicapped it again, and I settled on Channel Cat, the 5-horse, as my win pick. And I'm only going to go 3 deep when I get to pick 4. But Channel Cat, the last 4, actually, if you go back, 7 races, all 7 races of 2019, the worst buyer is 97. And at longer distances, so dropping back to a 1.8 but he even got a 97 in the Fort Marcy at Belmont, and then has been 1 3/8, 1.5 miles since then. So this may be too short for him. He's 0 for 2 at the distance, but he is 2 for 5 at Gulfstream. So I'm going to go with Channel Cat as my win pick. But I'm also going to use your horse admission office, Brian Lynch. I think he really had a shot in River City. He was too far out of it and just couldn't quite catch Mr. Misunderstood, who's really tough. And it sets up well for him here with his late kick. And I'm going to use Instilled Regard for Chad Brown. This horse was on the Derby trail and actually ran the Derby and the Pennsylvania Derby as a 3-year-old, and then they switched him to turf. And he's got new life here. And as he's getting better at a 93 buyer, his first time out this winter after a 4-month layoff at Aqueduct. So this sets up well for him, too, I think. I think he's got a shot, and you're really going to get a price on him. Channel Cat's my pick. Also going to use Instilled Regard in the admission office. But I can make a case for a lot of other horses here. Flavia scares me a lot. Chad Brown, first time here and second time North America, the first time for Chad Brown. So going to take a shaky pick here with Channel Cat and using the 2 others in the pick 4.
The other graded stakes, the Grade 3 Harlan's Holiday back on the dirt, mile in the 16th for 3-year-olds and up in the 10th. Who do you like there?
I like Bodie Express. As I redid the ticket when I decided I couldn't go all there in the second leg, I went back. Bodie Express was on the Derby Trail last year and through the jockey, Johnny Velasquez, had started the Preakness and then was off until October. And then he's broke his maiden. He was in the Preakness and the Derby as a maiden. It run second in the Florida Derby to get up points. But he's come back since then and broke his maiden at 1 to 9, and then broke it, and then went an allowance race at Gulfstream West by 6 3/4. Looks like he is on the right track right now. And I'm going to single him in here, even though there's a lot of horses in here that have got much more experience, including War Story, who's won almost $3 million. So it might be silly to do that, but I'm thinking War Story's best days are behind him. The others just don't seem quite as quick as Bodie Express. I think he's going to get an easy lead, and I think he rolls a 1 mile and 16th at Gulfstream. I just think that he's the best opportunity to win here. Prince Lucky would be my second choice, but I think that Bodie Express is going to get the jump on him. So I'm going to go with the inexperienced, somewhat, Bodie Express, who just broke his maiden, but is catching up very quickly to the rest of these horses.
I'm on the same spot as you are. I think coming off the layoff, this horse has taken his game to a new level, and they obviously had. You see the spots they put him in as a maiden. They obviously thought there was a lot of ability here, and maybe this horse has just finally had the light bulb go on. I'm going to single this horse in the pick 4 as well. Prince Lucky, I know I've heard Todd Pletcher, I think, say this before, that this horse is better around one, or best around 1 turn. So I think he could be a little vulnerable there. Fat Man, the 7. Hooked Spun to Run up at Parks, and speed figures are a little light, but those could be coming off of a lesser circuit, and those figures not always as trustworthy, I think, as some of the more circuits like Gulfstream and New York and LA and Kentucky, etc. So I think he could maybe move up and have a shot. If the price is right, that could be a good one to use underneath, but I like Bodie Express a lot in there too. So the 11th race is a 16K claimer on the turf at 1 mile and a 16th, and that wraps up the pick 4. And what I'm going to do is go as deep as I can in that leg to make the ticket affordable. So I'm going to start in the Rampart with all 5 horses I mentioned, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10. Same thing in the Fort Lauderdale, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10. So that's going, 5 and 6 deep in the first 2 legs. Single Bodie Express, and then I'm going to make it a $75 ticket and use 5 horses in the last leg. King Orb, if I had to put somebody on top, I think probably that one has 4 wins at Gulfstream. Victor Lounge for Mike Maker off a win, I think is interesting in here. My Point Exactly has 7 wins at Gulfstream. Campagno on the outside, the 12. And then Dakota's Dude on the angle of the first time in a new barn. I'm going to use that one as well. So 2, 3, 8, 11, 12 in the last leg for me for a $75 ticket. What does your pick 4 look like?
Well, the only thing I did differently really was to cut my ticket down so I could go even deeper than you in the last leg, because I've got no clue in that claiming race. It's 16,000 claimer, and I can make a case for about 6 of them. So as my want is to do, I'm going to take them all. So I agree with you, though. I've had to pick a winner, I think King Orb. But not much difference in top speed figures here. A couple of horses here that you could toss, but I'm not going to toss 2 out of 12. I'm going to take them all. So on my pick 4, first leg, the Rampart, I'm going to go 6, 8, 9, 10 with Moto Bella, Tweeting, Baccarat Fashion, and Carrie Ann. So 6, 8, 9, 10 with 4, 5, 8 in the Fort Lauderdale. And Still Regard, Channel Cat, and Admission Office. Single to 6, Bodie Express in the feature race, and then go all, and that costs $72. So you can cut it down as much as you want to. If you can cut the last one to 6 horses, it only costs you $36. But you run the risk of leaving out the winner. So I'm going to spend $72 and go 4 by 3 by single by all.
Best of luck with your wagers on the Saturday card at Gulfstream or wherever you are playing. And we'll be back next week for our final edition of the In the Money podcast before Christmas. So tune us in next week here on the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.